Some of the most commonly asked questions I get on GymCrafter.com about building a home or a garage gym is about flooring. What kind of flooring? How can I save money? Do I really need it? There's just a laundry list of concerns that people have. So I wanted to take episode 3 of the GymCrafter Podcast and hopefully address each and every one of those concerns so that by the end of this podcast, all of you out there looking for flooring for your gym will know exactly what kind is right for you, where to get it, how to buy it for the least amount of money so that you're thrilled with your floor and thrilled with your gym. Let's get into today's episode. Welcome to episode 3 of the GymCrafter Podcast. I'm back in my less disheveled living room, but still kind of a mess from my garage gym remodel project. But I'm Tim, head gym nerd at GymCrafter.com. Today we're going to talk about one of the most important topics when you build a gym, which is the foundation of your gym or the flooring. Before we get started, today is Memorial Day. I want to take a moment and recognize all of the active duty military folks that watch this show and watch the channel. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your service. Thank you to all of the vets out there. Thank you for your service. And let's take a moment to honor all of the family members of folks who have fallen defending our country and defending our freedom. That's what today's all about. It's not about sales. It's not about barbecue. It's not about, an extra day off. It's about remembering those people, and it's really important that we do that. They're the reason we can do all of that stuff in the first place. So I wanted to start there. Today's show, what we're going to cover in today's show, I want to cover a few things. Number one, I want to give you an update on the garage gym remodel project because I've made some progress. If you follow me on Instagram, and if you don't follow me on Instagram, why? It's at GymCrafter. Go over there and give me a follow. I post some pretty cool pictures and I'll post little videos and things that kind of give you updates along the way, little mini tutorials. So give me a follow over there. I'm going to cover the single biggest mistake I've made probably ever building a home gym. I've made on this particular gym rebuild, and I'm going to need your help, hopefully, in solving this problem that I've created for myself. And then we're going to talk about flooring, like I said. So those are the 3 things we're going to talk about today. And also, if you do follow me over on Instagram, I want to kind of cover, just an update on the gym. You've seen me building some equipment there, and you'll see me release on the channel some installation assembly guides. Some first impression videos are coming up on this equipment. But it's stuff that you may have looked and went, what is Tim doing with that stuff? What Tim is doing with that stuff is I have an open gym right now with none of my new gear that I want to buy permanently for my gym, and that gave me the space to accept a couple of offers from a couple of companies, and you're seeing these companies everywhere right now. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to give you all some more in-depth look at those particular pieces of equipment. I think sometimes in the home and garage gym space we get siloed and we really get kind of stuck in our own little boxes of $2,000 racks and $800 benches and $500 barbells, and we forget that 90% of the folks out there are going to spend a lot less than we are normally, and they're going to squeeze that gym between their kids' bikes and the lawnmower, and they don't have a lot of space. And some of these more entry-level or more budget-minded products, they just don't get a lot of love out there. The only thing that you see out there are people. I'll give you a great example. I'm reviewing a couple of leg press hack squat machines. If you are on Instagram at all, you know which 2 I'm going to review. But the only thing you see in most of the people on Instagram and YouTube right now is they're like, look, it's a leg press hack squat. You can do 4 exercises. It's super versatile. No, 4 exercises from one machine is not super versatile. And nobody's talking about the quality. Is it worth the money? Is it not worth the money? Are they all the same? Are they all coming out of the same factory overseas? So I'm going to try and cover these much more in a GymCrafter style and my style, and give you some in-depth look at these, some very honest looks at these. And hopefully for folks who are the customer for these types of machines, we can help you guys out and really get you some information that'll help you spend your money wisely and steer you towards something that you're actually going to like. And also just let you know that whenever you buy something that's budget minded, there's trade-offs. So there's going to be good things and bad things, and whether or not you can live with the bad things, I'm going to point all that out for you. So for those of you going, hey, there's no rep in there, I thought Tim was a huge rep fan. Nope, there's not. There's no rep in there right now. So we're going to just dive into some new stuff that, like I said, I wouldn't have normally bought for myself. That's an interim stuff. And then in 4 to 6 months, we'll be putting some more stuff in there. That's the stuff that I've got on my wish list to put in my gym. So that's where the gym build out is going. The other thing I wanted to talk about today with the gym build out is, like I said, it's the single biggest mistake I've ever made in a gym build out. Not only helping other people, but I've built multiple, this is the 3rd iteration of the garage gym just in this home, and I have never made a mistake like this. So when I was painting, I went to Home Depot first, and I don't know what's going on with Home Depot. I can't get, at least at my Home Depot, the couple in my neighborhood, I can't get good help there anymore at all. It used to be I had my favorite old retired guys or the veterans that work there that were there because they like to fix stuff and they like to help. Those guys seemingly are all gone. I don't know if I just don't go at the right time, but I go into the paint department. There's 2 kids there. Nothing against kids. Sometimes kids give great help, but these 2 particular kids, one of which had purple hair, the other of which had a giant thing of metal on their nose. Sorry, no offense to you guys who have facial piercings. I apologize, but it's just it's just in my head. It's just automatically I see that and go, well, you're going to be no help. And they weren't. So I asked them, my question was this: I'm building out a garage gym and every paint I've done in the past has marked up easily. It's been harder to clean, even the stuff that they say is durable. You know, what should I use? And the kids at Home Depot said, oh, there's a chart over on the wall, that'll tell you. Well, gee, thanks guys. So I went to Menards instead and I talked to somebody and they had what I thought was a good suggestion. They said, well, the most durable paint is exterior paint. It's meant to withstand the weather, it's meant to withstand power washers, it'll clean up really nice. And so I said, great, let me think about that. I picked out a couple of colors, came home, picked the color, went back the next day, talked to another person, said, this is what the guy yesterday said. And they said, yeah, that's a really good recommendation. The only thing I would make sure is, you know, the outdoor paint isn't rated for indoor use. And what that means is that it's going to emit a lot more VOCs, or volatile organic compounds. Well, that's the fumes that not only smell bad, but I want to make sure everybody understands that VOCs are bad for you. They can cause all kinds of health issues. They can give you headaches. They can cause long-term damage to your lungs. They are not good and they shouldn't be used inside. So I should have known when he said that was going to be an issue. But he said, well, you know, are you going to paint with your door open? And I said, well, yeah, I'm going to paint with the garage door open, of course. So he said, you'll be fine then. As long as you paint with the door open, once it dries, it'll be fine. Well, it's dry and it's not fine. My garage smells awful. In fact, it's so bad that I have to, number one, I can't work out in there right now. There's no way I'm gonna go in there and start breathing heavy while all those fumes are in there. I can't let my dogs in there, and my dogs are a big part of like my gym. Like I have beds for them in there and they like to be in there if I'm in there. And while I'm in there working and assembling all this new equipment, I have to limit my time to 1 to 2 hours or else I get a raging headache. Now for 2 weeks, I've had my garage door open every moment that I can. I've got fans going in there blowing out, and that seems to be helping. And I'm hoping that since it's a very thin layer of paint, that the off-gassing that's happening will kind of dissipate quickly. I'm hoping for a couple of hot days. If we can get a couple of really hot days here and it can just bake that paint, I'm hoping that fixes it. Anybody out there who's a painter or has experience in this is where I need your help. Let me know if there's a way that I can get rid of this smell faster than just waiting for it to finish, because it's really putting a damper on my training, and it's really putting a damper on my remodel project, because a machine that normally would take 4 or 5 hours to put together is taking 8 or 9 hours to put together because I have to keep taking breaks. So don't use outdoor paint in your garage. As good as it might have sounded as an idea up front, it is not a good idea. And I'm not even sure that painting over it at this point is going to help, or if that's going to seep. I don't even know. So anybody out there with an idea, please let me know. As many garage gyms as I've built and have helped people build, I guess you can still make mistakes, right? So my responsibility, it's my fault. I'm not a big blame other people guy. I should have thought more about it. I should have used my brain, and I didn't. And now I've got less of a brain because of the fumes. So there you go. But let's get to what we're here to talk about today, which is flooring. So why am I qualified to talk about flooring? I've helped thousands of people through GymCrafter.com build home gyms, and a big part of that is the flooring. I've got hundreds of email chains going back and forth, helping people select flooring, answering flooring questions. I've also personally helped to install or installed myself all 5 types of flooring that we're going to talk about today. So I've got some unique experience. I haven't just done one type, I've done all 5 types. I was on a podcast not too long, I've been on a few times. It's called the Way Too Early for a Friday podcast. It's on the Garage Gym Life YouTube channel. Check it out if you want something cool to watch in the background while you're training. John, the host, is fantastic. It's a fun show. It'll make you laugh. He's got great guests. Well, I was a guest on there, and we were talking about helping people pick garage gym gear. And this guy named Kurt, who runs an Instagram page called The Kurt Locker, and a great website as well. He's a strongman guy, got a great garage gym, and it's a really good follow, so check him out. But he made a comment and he said, look, it's not our job, the folks who have these Instagram pages and YouTube channels, it's not our job to tell people what to buy and what not to buy. It's our job to tell people what's good and bad about something, what we like and what we don't like, and just trust that people are smart enough to make a good decision on their own. So That's stuck with me ever since. I think sometimes, as a reviewer, I tend to get really opinionated and partial, and I forget that what my needs aren't what everybody else's needs are. So while I do have an opinion that I'm going to share in this video, I am going to do my best to try and give you both sides of the coin for all of the 5 different types. Well, I'm going to give you only one side of the coin for one type, but the other 4, I'm going to try and give you both sides of the coin so that you can make a good decision on your own. And that's how we're going to approach this video. Where we need to start though is, why do you need rubber flooring in the first place? And I'm being specific with rubber flooring because that's what you need. Every commercial gym in the world has rubber flooring, as far as I know. There may be some weird high-end gym that uses some esoteric, LVT, I don't know, whatever. But 99.9% of them use rubber flooring, and that's for safety. Safety should be our number one concern. And when you're lifting weights, especially if you decide to lift anything over your head, you need to make sure that you're not going to slip, that you have good footing, that the floor is not going to be uneven, that the floor is not going to squish and shift under your feet. It's a safety issue, and rubber flooring is the absolute best choice for safety. There's no comparison. If you sweat a little bit on it, it's not going to be super slippery. It's going to give you a nice solid base to lift from. It's going to give you, if you're doing anything dynamic or ballistic, it's going to give you good traction for jumping and landing and everything else. It's the best choice. It's also, a lot of people, now people weight this next reason too much, but people also buy it to protect their floor. I would tell you that that's an okay reason to get flooring, but it's not the big reason. The big reason is safety. Your floor doesn't need as much protection as you think, and we're going to talk about that when we talk about the thickness of the flooring. And then the third reason people buy rubber flooring is because it looks great, right? Very little makes your gym look more finished and more enjoyable and more like a dedicated gym than rubber flooring in there. When I finished the flooring in my gym, I went out there and I just kind of stood there and looked at it. It looks great in my opinion. And I even got the blemished flooring from where I'm going to tell you to buy flooring from that's supposed to have issues with it. It looks fantastic. So those are the 3 reasons why you want to get rubber flooring. You want to get it so that it's safe. You want to get it so that you protect your floor, and you want to get it so that your gym looks nice. So let's talk about, where should you get this stuff, right? And I used to recommend Great Mats. I used to recommend Amazon. I used to recommend American Flooring. I used to recommend, there's a bunch of places on the GymCrafter.com website. I have a complete guide to flooring there that covers more than rubber. So if you're curious as to why I'm so adamant about rubber, I cover every possible type of flooring in this article. It's just gymcrafter.com/flooring. Go check that out if you want to see all of those things. In that article, I recommend a bunch of different places. Going forward, and I'm only going to recommend one, and that's Freedom Fitness Equipment. I'll put a link down below. Ashton, who runs Freedom Fitness Equipment, has been selling pre-owned garage gym gear for quite a while. He's one of the biggest flooring distributors in the country, and he has just launched his own brand of flooring called Hammerclad. It's fantastic stuff. It comes in every variety and color that you could want. He can also do some custom order type stuff. Ashton knows his stuff. He's got great customer service. He's a US based company. Just a great guy who understands what you need for your gym and can really help you pick the right flooring and get you the right amount and the right style. Kurt, who I just mentioned before, has, I guess he said he's got a pallet of this flooring outside of his garage waiting for an install. This truly, if you're in the garage gym community, you already know Ashton. This isn't me trying to point you towards somebody who, I have an affiliate link for, which I do. It's an affiliate link before. And if you think this video helps you make a good decision for flooring, and I've earned that, then please use my affiliate link. If you don't think I've earned that, don't. That's I can't ask for more than that. I do have a discount code there. It's a GC1 at checkout. It'll save you 5% on top of anything that is there, excluding something that's already on sale, but that includes their blemished flooring. So you take their blemished flooring discount, which is what I have in my gym, and you add the 5% off. It's a great deal. So if you do want to support the GymCrafter site and the YouTube channel, please use that link. Other than that, even if I didn't have that link, this is the place to buy flooring. So if you're wondering where to buy it, Ashton's going to be able to save you the most money. He's going to be able to get you things fairly fast. He's going to have the widest selection. And unlike all of those other companies I mentioned, you can get a hold of him, and he knows garage gyms. He really does. He knows them backwards and forwards. He knows them as well as I do, and he can give you all the help that you need. So as far as where to buy it, Freedom Fitness Equipment is the place to go. Like I said, I'll put a link below. Now, as far as the types of flooring, I mentioned we're going to talk about 5 types, 4 of which we're going to talk about both sides of the coin, 1 of which doesn't have 2 sides of the coin. So we'll start with that one. Back to Home Depot giving you bad advice. If you were to walk into Home Depot and say, hey, I want gym flooring, they're going to walk you back, and there's a 90% chance they're going to show you something called EVA tiles. There's big shrink-wrapped piles of puzzle piece tiles. They're about 1 inch thick. and they're made of what's called EVA foam, and in giant letters across the front, they say home gym flooring. Somebody needs to sue these people. This is not home gym flooring. This is not something that belongs. Now, if you're building a kid's playroom for your 3-year-old, this is perfect flooring. If your squat rack and your weight set is made of Nerf, this is great flooring. Outside of that, this has no business in a home gym, period. It rips and tears super easily. Just trying to put up a squat rack on it, if you need to move your squat rack even a little bit, you're gonna tear a giant hole in this floor. It is this much cushy foam. So as you walk around, your feet are gonna sink in and move and wave around. It is unsafe. Okay, do not put this in your gym. Now, a lot of people buy it because A, it says gym flooring on it, and B, it's what the guy at Home Depot said, and C, it's super cheap. It is super inexpensive, so people look at good rubber flooring and go, oh my God, that's a lot of money. And then they look at this stuff and go, oh, that's cool. That costs what a Nerf football costs. Because it's made of Nerf footballs. So please, don't buy EVA tiles. I don't have any more to say about that. There is no benefit to them. There are no pros to share with you. There is no two sides of the coin, so you can make your own decision. This stuff is garbage. Don't put it in your gym. Now, let's go on to the 4 things that actually will work in a gym. And we're gonna start with horse stall mats. Now, I made a video at the beginning of this YouTube channel called Horse Stall Mats Are for Horses, Not for Your Gym. And you'd have thought I slapped somebody's mom in front of them. The comments on that video are brutal. I don't know why people are so attached or so defensive about horse stall mats, but they are. So I'm gonna try and address those concerns. So before you comment, bro, you know, my horse stall mats were great, they're fantastic. You know, bro, I get it. You have horse stall mats. You don't want to admit that you bought the wrong thing. Or more importantly than that, there are some really good reasons why people have horse stall mats. And I didn't acknowledge this in that first video, and I should have. For the longest time, if you wanted to buy flooring for your home gym, and not double your home gym budget, horse stall mats were the only option. You could buy them as little as 40 bucks a piece. They're 4 feet by 6 feet. You didn't need to buy a ton of them to cover your garage. And you could drive down the street to get them. Everything else had to be ordered online, which meant that on top of the added cost of buying something more expensive, you also ended up paying hundreds of dollars in shipping. So look, I get it. You're building a home gym. You can drive down to Tractor Supply and buy these things for 40 bucks a piece, or you can go online and spend 3 to 4 times as much on rubber flooring, and nobody is telling you why these are worth 3 to 4 times as much. Well, look, I get it. A lot of you have horse stall mats, and that's why. And when I built my gym, I was tempted. Now I'm going to tell you in this explanation why I didn't go with horse stall mats and why I wouldn't go with horse stall mats going forward. But as far as giving you both sides of the coin, accessibility, ease of getting them, and then price, those are some really good reasons. Now, let me talk about the drawbacks of horse stall mats. They're really hard to move around. They're super heavy and they're hard to move around. They're hard to cut and trim if you've got anything other than a square surface to do. And even just cutting one in half, it ends up, the edges look ragged. It's kind of a pain. Like, I put these things in. Moving them takes 2 people. If you're trying to do it even with 2 people, they're a pain. They've got to weigh 80 to 100 pounds or more each. They're just unwieldy and they're tough to move around. They slide around your floor, so you've got to find a way to join them together, and there's really no great way to join them together. There's these under mat little cleat things that you can put, but in my experience, you can feel that as you're walking across your floor. You can feel that there's a piece of spiked metal underneath, so I was never a fan of that. The more popular method seems to be to take black Gorilla Tape and then tape that over the seams. You know, we mentioned aesthetics was one of the reasons why you use home gym flooring. I'm not a fan of that aesthetic. I know some people don't mind. I don't want to knock your choice or say you have bad taste. Everybody, each their own, right? For me, that's not something I want in my gym. I don't like the taped together look. Basement Brandon, who uses stall mats, is one of the biggest YouTube garage gym or basement gym channels out there. He uses stall mats. He just did what he called his $100,000 home gym tour. Here's a guy with $100,000 of gear and his floor is taped together. It's just, I just don't get it, right? So, but again, to each his own. He loves them. That's what he uses. We're going to talk a little bit more about him in a second. Horse stall mats, One of the positives that people think is the thickness. So let's take a minute and talk about thickness of your flooring and how thick your flooring should be. Horse stall mats are typically 3/4 of an inch thick. You do not need 3/4 inch thick flooring, period. Let me say it again. You do not need 3/4 inch thick flooring at all, period. Let me explain why. Number one, if you are training with bumper plates, your floor is going to be fine even with no flooring. You can take 400 pounds or 500 pounds of bumper plates and pick them up and drop them on your cement floor over and over and over and over and over again, and your floor is going to be just fine. You don't need 3/4 inch flooring if you're using bumper plates. Now, what if you're using metal plates? Well, first of all, hopefully you're not dropping metal plates from over your head, right? That's probably a bad idea for your barbell at the very least, right? Dropping a bar with metal plates is really hard on the internals of your barbell. But let's say that you're deadlifting and you like to drop them. Now, we're not going to get into the Mark Ripito discussion of, you're not really able to lift that weight if you can't also lower it back down with control, which I'm a fan of that opinion, but let's not have that argument right now. Let's assume that you're a monster, right? You're all geared up. You're going to go for a 1-rep PR every single day on the deadlift, and you're going to hoist up 500 pounds or 700 pounds or 800 pounds in metal plates, and you're going to get all the way to the top, and you're going to drop it every single day. You're going to do that. Well, let's go back to Basement Brandon. Where does he deadlift in his gym? He deadlifts on a platform because he's a competitive powerlifter and he deadlifts a lot of weight. So what does he do? He doesn't deadlift out on his floor. He deadlifts on a platform. So if you're deadlifting that amount, you need a platform. Even stall mats aren't going to protect your floor if you're dropping 500 pounds of metal plates on your floor over and over and over again. So that leaves my last point, which is even if it was to protect your floor and you were out on your floor dropping those plates, you're only in one place. You're not dropping 500 pounds in the corner. You're not dropping 500 pounds underneath your dumbbell rack. You're not dropping 500 pounds under your squat rack. You're deadlifting in one place in your gym, especially if it's a garage or a basement gym. So put a platform there. You don't need to spend the extra money on 3/4 inch flooring. You don't need to go to the extra hassle to install 3/4 inch flooring. The most people need is either 3/8 inch or 8 millimeter or maybe 1/2 inch flooring. And Ashton sells all of it. Ashton has 3/4. If again, you're like, yo bro, you don't even know, man, I dropped 800 pound dumbbells all over my floor. Cool, awesome. Buy 3/4 inch flooring. I'm not here to tell you what you should and shouldn't buy. I'm just telling you don't need it. But Ashton's got it if you want it. So if you need 3/4 inch or you want 3/4 inch flooring, you can do that. I'm just telling you that it's a huge installation headache to install flooring that's that thick. And moving 3/4 inch stall mats around is one of the least fun things I've ever done in my life. I'm not a fan. Now let's get into the real reason, the biggest drawback to horse stall mats. And that is they really are for horses. They are not made for inside use for humans. Now, what does that mean? It's the exact same thing as the paint that I put in my garage. That paint is made for outside, not inside. And the single biggest difference are the VOCs, the volatile organic compounds that off-gas. Now, I'm hoping that my little thin layer of paint will stop off-gassing sometime this year, right? But if you have 3/4 inch horse stall mats that are off-gassing these volatile organic compounds, which are not only will give you a headache, they're dangerous, right? They're harmful to your lungs, they're harmful to your brain, they're harmful to your sinuses, they're harmful to your pets, they're harmful to your kids, they're super harmful if anybody in your house has any type of respiratory issues, right? I was a smoker for 20 years. I've got to go get scans once a year just to make sure that the little things that grew in my lungs don't get any bigger. I'm not going to make that worse by putting flooring that's off-gassing compounds that have been shown to cause cancer. That is just a bad idea. You need to get stuff that's rated for indoor use for humans. So if you want 4x6 mats that are what's called commercially rated, you can get those. Ashton sells those. Just please don't use horse stall mats, okay? And you can get the blemish stuff and it'll be just about the same price as horse. You don't have to spend much more money anymore. It's not a huge cost difference. Ashton has the blemish stuff in stock usually. Even if you order stuff from a custom color, it doesn't take that long to come in. There is really no reason anymore to use stall mats. Now that said, I know that people are still gonna use them, okay? I get it. And let me just head off a couple more comments. Bro, mine don't smell at all. They're fine. Okay, great. You're the exception, not the rule. Okay, just because yours didn't smell doesn't mean that 99% of everybody else's don't smell. The other thing I want to point out is the way that human smell works. Now, it's not just that it smells bad, it's bad for you, okay? And the way that your brain tells you it's bad for you is it goes, ooh, that's a bad smell. Well, the problem is that your nose doesn't actually detect smell, it detects changes in smell. And what I mean by that is, if you remember going to the zoo as a kid, or if you've taken your kids to the zoo and you go into the monkey house, when you walk in, you're like, whew, that's a distinct odor. And 10 minutes later, it's no longer, you're like, oh, it doesn't smell at all, right? It's because, it's not that the smell went away, it's that your nose initially detects the change in smell, and once that's done, it stops smelling, it just becomes normal. So what happens to a lot of people who write these comments like, mine don't smell. They do smell, you just don't notice it anymore. So please, this is the strongest opinion I'm going to share here, but please, there's no reason, there's very few reasons to go with stall mats anymore. But like I said, I know some of you guys are going to do that. That's fine. Lots of people use stall mats. They have success. Adam over at Garage Gym Lab made the best stall mat installation video on the internet as far as I'm concerned. He takes all 8 or 9 major issues with stall mats and gives you a solution or 2 for each of those issues. He gives you installation tips. He gives you special tools to carry them around. He shows you a few different ways to close the seams and hold them together. He tells you how to handle the odor and the off-gassing, which real quickly, if you do buy stall mats, leave them out in the sun, exposed to the sun for a couple of weeks. That typically cooks most of it out of it. It doesn't get all of it, but if you're gonna use stall mats, that's the best way to do it. Watch Adam's video over at Garage Gym Lab. I'll put a link down below. If you're gonna use stall mats, watch that video for installation. Let's move on to the next type of flooring, which are the same thing, just made for inside. And here's the difference. The reason that the off-gassing on a stall mat is so bad and on an indoor commercially rated mat isn't bad isn't the rubber. Look, all of these things are gonna have a rubber smell. Rubber has a distinct odor. It's not overpowering if it's just the odor. What's overpowering is what's called the binding agent. So all of these mats are made of recycled tires. That's where most rubber comes from, unless it's virgin rubber. Crumb rubber bumper plates are the same way. They're just ground up tires. And what they do is they take the ground up tire and they press it together and they join it together with a binding agent. It's a bunch of chemicals, it's like glue, and it glues them together and forms them together. It's that binding agent that is what's off-gassing. And when you're making mats for horse stalls, they use the least expensive, most caustic binding agent that you can get. And that's what you're smelling. And that's why they're not able to be rated for indoor. That's why you'll never see those mats called gym mats, because they're not gym mats. They're meant to go in a barn outdoors where that gas can dissipate, right? Barns typically have big ceilings, they have doors that are open, they have drafty, you get the idea. That's the difference. So if you want to use 4x6 mats, even if you want to use 4x6 3/4 inch mats, even though, like I said, you don't typically need them, you can buy those from Ashton and they're not too much more expensive to get stuff that won't harm your health. Look, folks, you're building a gym for your health. It doesn't make sense to then put something in your gym to save a few dollars that's bad for your health. It doesn't make any sense. So if you like the idea of 4x6 mats and you want to put them in, you can get those from Ashton. Now I would suggest that you get 3/8 inch or 1/2 inch mats, because again, they don't need to be 3/4 of an inch thick. You're gonna find them a lot easier to install, a lot easier to trim out around the edges and around, odd little, if you need to trim out around a pipe or a door frame or something. It's so much easier to work with, so much easier to carry around. And Ashton has, like I said, has the blemish stuff. And I keep saying blemish, I don't think I explained that. Blemish flooring Ashton typically has in stock, and it's got blemishes to it. It either has like little lines or maybe a groove here or there. Nothing that you'd ever notice once you put it in, at least as far as the flooring that I've seen. But it saves you 40 to 60% over the price of new flooring. When you go with this blemish flooring, the flooring that I put into my gym before shipping is exactly the same price as if I'd have gone to Tractor Supply and picked up stall mats. The only difference in price was the shipping I paid. So I paid some shipping so that I don't have to have caustic chemicals off-gassing in my garage. I decided to do that for my paint instead. So you can get these mats. Now the drawbacks to the mats are, like I said, they tend to move around. That's the biggest one. So you're gonna wanna find a way to get them to stick together. The best way to do that is black Gorilla Tape. You just lay them out next to each other, you run seams of tape. You can look at several people's gyms online, including Basement Brandon's. He's got a giant basement gym, so you can see what that looks like. And you just basically tape the seams. You want to do that for a couple different reasons. Number one, you don't want them to slide around. Number two, mats, especially stall mats, if you use those, they tend to curl up a little bit. The commercial stuff won't curl up, but the stall mats will. So it'll keep everything down. And it also keeps the dirt and dust from getting underneath them. And the more dirt and dust that gets underneath them, the easier they slide around the floor. And over time, you'll find that your stuff's just, you've got these big little gaps between your flooring tiles, and no matter how careful you are in installing them, you're gonna get these gaps. So the trick there is that, and this is the drawback, but you're gonna wanna tape them down so that those seams are together. Some people like that look, some people don't. It's up to you, but that's what you have to do for these mats. Now the next type is rolled flooring. And rolled flooring is exactly what it sounds like. It's flooring that comes in a giant roll. If you're gonna do the big swaths of area, then I like rolled flooring better than I like the mats, because you can literally just take the rolls and roll it across the entire length or width of your gym and then just cut it off and you're done. Carrying around the roll is a lot easier than carrying around these big unwieldy 4x6 mats. So it's much easier to install. There are fewer seams to tape. Now you still need to tape seams because you're gonna roll and then you're gonna put another roll and you're gonna have a seam between, but that's just one seam that goes all the way across your gym. It's not all the way around every 4x6 mat. So rolled flooring is a really good option. I think that's what Kurt's putting in his gym, I'm not sure, but that's a really good option. As far as ease of installation, of all of the floors that I've installed, rolled flooring is the easiest, in my opinion, of all of them to install. Like I said, it's the easiest to trim out, especially if you stick with 3/8 or 1/2 inch. It's super easy to trim out. It's relatively easy to move around and install. The rolls are still very heavy, but two people can put this in, and it's a very quick installation. The hardest part that I found was finding a way to get the tape down so that it didn't kind of wobble around too much, or not wobble, but bubble up and fold up. So once you figure out how to put the tape down so that it's flat, it's a real easy installation. That's a great way. So if you're looking for the easiest to do and looks pretty nice, right? You typically only end up in a garage, you only end up with a few seams. So it's not that unsightly to have those seams. So if you're looking for the easiest and some of the nicest looking, rolled flooring is the best. And then the last type of flooring is puzzle piece flooring. Puzzle piece flooring most commonly comes in 24-inch by 24-inch tile squares. Typically it's got little teeth all the way around the outside. Now a lot of people who commented on my past videos, when they see that I use this puzzle piece, I think they assumed I'm using that EVA stuff I referenced earlier. This isn't EVA flooring, it's the rubber flooring I've been talking about, and then it's interlocking puzzle pieces. You can also get edges and corners, so you can get, if you kind of figure it out, it's kind of like a little bit of a geometry problem, but if you can figure out, okay, I need this many edges and I need this many corners, I need this many centerpieces. What I like to do, and what Ashton recommended, is I just get all centerpieces. It's real easy. If you look on my Instagram, I've got a reel on there showing how to trim the edges so that you end up with nice smooth edges, and it's real easy to do. I love the way that mine came out. I've got straight edges around the whole outside. Didn't have to worry about trying to figure out corners and sides and things like that. You buy them in 24-inch by 24-inch tiles. There's a couple reasons why I like them. Now, they're kind of a pain to install. The larger of a floor you have, the more of a pain they are to install. They really have to be lined up, and this type of flooring, I really recommend that you get everything out of your garage completely before you put the flooring in. I made another mistake this time, and I'm like, well, I'll do half and then I'll move everything. Well, moving everything onto the half that I'd done shifted things, so by the time, it makes things harder. It does take longer to install this. The reason why I like the puzzle piece flooring is number one, it's commercially rated, there's no off-gassing. I do want to note, rubber flooring is going to smell like rubber. So sometimes I say it doesn't have any odor. It does have some odor, but you're not going to walk into your garage or your basement and go, whew, man, that's bad. So the stuff that Ashton sells is commercial grade. It's going to not have the caustic binding agents in there. It's not going to be off-gassing VOCs. It's going to smell a little bit like rubber, but not a lot. So I like that. But the other reason I like it is, for me, there's no taping involved. Right? I spend a lot of money on the equipment in my gym. I spend a lot of time. Personally, I just don't want anything taped down out there. So I like the way that it looks. When you put it together right, you can barely even see that it's not just one giant sheet of rubber. I also like that there's virtually no seams anywhere. Like, there's nothing that comes apart when you walk across it. For me, even if it wasn't for not liking the visual part of the taped seams, when I walk across a floor that we've done, even if we've done a really good job and taken our time, when I step on one of those seams that's taped, I can feel it. I wear real thin-soled barefoot shoes by a company called Zero, so you can feel every little nook and cranny under your feet, which I like. Well, I can also feel those seams, and with puzzle piece flooring, I can't feel those seams. So if I'm setting up for a deadlift, or I'm doing heavy carries, or I'm doing something where I'm walking across the floor, I like the fact that I have a perfectly smooth surface with no bumps or seams or anything in my way at all. So I like the looks of it. I like the feel of it the best. As far as functionality goes, it comes, like I said, the same thickness as the other ones. It is harder to install, like I said, so it's just a matter of preference. So really, just to recap, stall mats. Look, if I came across too strong on that, I apologize. As you can tell, I have some really strong feelings. I don't want any of you guys to get sick. to save a few bucks on flooring. That's really why I get so worked up about it. I give the commenters a bunch of crap just because they give me a bunch of crap. I think I've got some PTSD from the last time I made a flooring video, so I apologize if I went a little hard there. But if you get stall mats, like I said, watch Adam's video. He'll help you through the installation. It'll go smoothly for you. So you've got the stall mats, you've got the positive and negatives there. The other three types, the 4x6 mats, the rolled flooring, and the puzzle piece, just pick yourself some either 3/8 or 1/2 inch stuff. If you feel the need to go 3/4 inches and you're worried about your floor anyway, and you don't want to build a platform or something like that, get a couple extra pieces of your 3/4 inch flooring and just stack those up. Like I've got a few extra tiles left over from my installation, and it'd be really easy for me just to stack a few of those up where I'm going to deadlift. If you don't want to build a platform, it's less expensive than a platform. You can just pick it up and move it if you don't have room for a platform, so that's another option for you. Regardless of the thickness, you're really just going to decide on your thickness, and you're going to decide on your format, whether you want to do the mats, whether you want to do the rolled flooring, or whether you want to do the puzzle piece stuff. So hopefully I've given you guys a good overview of the flooring that you can use, pros and cons. Hopefully that I took Kurt's advice to heart, and I've given you the good and the bad of each type, and you have all the information that you need. If you don't, tim@gymcrafter.com. Shoot me an email. I answer all my emails myself, usually within a day. The only day I don't answer emails on is Sunday. Outside of that, if I get one, I'll respond to it, usually the same day. If you want to post a comment, I respond to all of the comments down below. So that's it for flooring. So thanks for hanging with me through another long session of me rambling and talking about stuff a lot more than I need to. And until next time, I'm Tim with GymCrafter.